Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and I'm going to do something very unpopular with a lot of you today. I'm going to do something that could be career-ending. I'm going to defend Rian Johnson. Oh my God! I'm sure he's so excited to have me on his side. But for real, I feel like I've seen this guy, a talented filmmaker, who I do believe made some mistakes with Star Wars, but I can't know for sure whose fault it was. He was involved, so I do blame him for some of the things that I didn't like in the Star Wars film, but I can't hate the guy. He made one film. It wasn't a complete hit for everybody. It was for some. What can you do but move on to the next movie? And thankfully he did, and I give him major credit for sort of ignoring all the fans and all the backlash and getting some wonderful actors together and making a really fun whodunit. It's called Knives Out, and I'm here to review it. But in reviewing it, I want to really commend him because he directed this, and it's just a really fun time. And I implore you to actually, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't think you should go read a lot of reviews or listen to a lot of stuff. Don't get this spoiled. He even does like an intro before, sort of asking audiences to not spoil it. And not that it's like one of those things that just it's twist after twist. I mean, there are lots of twists in the movie, but it's just written so beautifully. The actors are so fantastic in this. Every character has so much to it, and he really spins a yarn that unravels in a way that's really just fun to watch. I laughed, got surprised. It just was a really good time in the movie. The entire theater I saw this with a test screen here in Tampa just had a blast with this film. So I want to be hesitant with my spoilers, but I want to hype this up because it just shows when a filmmaker betrays us, as some sort of think he did with The Last Jedi, which I don't want this to be about The Last Jedi, but it has to be because so many people are going to sadly boycott or just ignore or bash this film without seeing it, and they really should see it because it couldn't be further away from Star Wars. And I'm so impressed that he had the guts to just go back out there and take another swing with so many talented people and just hit it out of the park, which he did. And it just sort of shows, you know what, Rian Johnson, look, I believe you're a Star Wars fan. I believe you believe in what you did. A lot of fans support what you did, but clearly your bread and butter is just going to do original stories without sort of the fans out there sort of losing their mind when you change it, or Kathleen Kennedy made you change it, or you just were trying to follow what Lucas wanted. I don't really know what Rian Johnson was trying to do with Star Wars. None of us will really know. It's a complicated thing to blame one sole person for the demise of Star Wars. There were problems going into it before we even got there with JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and everybody. So, I'm not aiming this towards any specific haters, but I see it all the time, this hatred. And as I tweeted about it last night of liking the film, people are, is it woke? It's just like, oh my God, what society are we in now where it's like, it's just so frustrating. The bottom line is Knives Out is a really, really fun movie. And I wanted to do my part to make a video here to support him and this film so you go see it. The film is a whodunit. Christopher Plummer is the sort of the lead of this family. He's a mystery author, and all of his family sort of stays there. They're all clearly trying to get his money. They are already sort of taking advantage of him. He's clearly sort of getting fed up with that with some of the siblings and stuff, that he wants them all to be their own person and not rely on his fortune. And then what happened, the movie sort of opens, that he's killed himself, or so it seems. Did he or did he not? And the whole movie is sort of unraveling what happens, because the true standout for me of the movie, well, there's three, but one of the standouts is Daniel Craig, who just does this amazing Southern detective character where he really just gets to chew the scenery around and do something very fun that I haven't seen him do in a while. So it was just nice to see non-Bond Daniel Craig remind us of how great he is. And he's sort of this like world-class detective that Lakeith Stanfield, who's great, as well as sort of the cops let him come in because he's gotten paid to do this thing, but we don't know who hired him and why he's there and what's happening, and it's sort of everything sort of unravels beyond there. But world-class detective with the local police who think it's a suicide, but clearly something must be wrong, and the whole movie is then unraveling. Is there something wrong? What's wrong? Are these people just crazy? Are they killers? But the standout performances, I'll talk about that. Daniel Craig, fantastic. Christopher Plummer, surprisingly fantastic. We see him through flashbacks in the beginning as sort of the story unfolds. But it's a really just wonderful little small supporting role, but he really crushes it. Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, a lot of really great performances. But for me, by far, the standout was Anna de Armas, who you might recall from Blade Runner 2049. She just has this wonderful supporting role she just was a standout for me. She's just one to watch. Everyone says the Blade Runner was her breakout role, and that was my favorite part of that film, sort of the AI love affair with Ryan Gosling. I would have watched that whole movie. It was just so crazy of falling in love with the robot and then her loving him back. And can artificial intelligence love? She was striking that film. Really wonderful performance, and follows it up with a completely different sort of innocent performance as the caretaker, sort of knows all the drama of the family. And it's just a wonderful turn by her, and I really, really recommend. And I'm excited to see more from her because she was just really, really good. Jamie Lee Curtis, also great. I love the knife chair that they do all these sort of interrogation scenes from the detectives asking each family member next to this. It's just a great set piece. But everything in the film sort of pays off and works. It's really wonderful. Chris Evans, everyone's excited about. He does play a jerk, seemingly jerk character that not as in it as much as the other people, but when he's in it, you're excited he's in it, and he's great. Overall, just wonderful performances. Like I said, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette. It's just a really who's who of wonderful characters who each get their own wonderful moments. So overall, it's a good whodunit. I don't want to go into the plots and details because I think that's sort of the appeal of the film. Just go in expecting a nice 2-hour mystery adventure of sort of what's going to unravel. Are you going to be able to figure it out? Did you not figure it out? Is it still fun regardless? I think it will be. I think you'll have a blast. And I think it just shows that Rian Johnson is a good original storyteller. He just wrote a really wonderful script here. The performers are clearly excited to work with him. And I think what this shows of people who are, when I reacted like, can this wipe the stink of Last Jedi, which I'll admit, I apologize. It was a little brash of me. I just think there is a stink though for a lot of fans, and it's created this sort of, but I think Star Wars in general has created this divisiveness due to the lack of not knowing what they want to do with it. And then they're sort of hedging their bets in a lot of ways and forcing certain plots and things in and not really knowing what the overall arc is. And I think that's a realistic reason why Star Wars fans are mad of that. So, but at the same time, it's a movie. I understand. Mandalorian's coming out. There's going to be a lot of other Star Wars movies that come out. It's a bummer that these don't exist, but like the original trilogy or the prequels or don't, who cares? I don't understand this extreme hatred either way. It's frustrating that fans are getting angry at each other over sort of being so extreme on their opinions of a film. And I understand Star Wars is important for a lot of people, and I understand people are blaming Rian Johnson and JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and a lot of people, but I just think it's so silly that this proves that Rian Johnson is a great filmmaker and deserves to make more films. And he may not have done a great Star Wars for you, but he clearly did for others. And more power to him. Who cares? I wasn't a fan of Last Jedi. Parts of it distracted me. Parts of it were okay, but I thought it was the biggest problem with Last Jedi was just it felt pointless. There were a lot of plots that went nowhere, that were unnecessary, and the direction just was not something it got me excited, or turns that didn't really feel justified or not fully thought out. I'm gonna hope that the final installment tries to help to right some of those wrongs, at least that were in my head. But for some fans, they love it. I've talked and had really big debates about fans who love it. The reason this is important to bring up is I hope that the Last Jedi drama doesn't deter you or others from seeing this film. He needs to be able to make other films. This proves he's I loved Looper, and he's done some really great work. So Rian Johnson is a good filmmaker. Whether you liked his Star Wars or not, I hope you give this film a shot. You should. It's just a good time. It's not going to be the best of the year, but it's a good crowd-pleasing theater experience. It's just one of those rare middle-of-the-road movies with great actors and a fun new script and a different direction that I want us to support movies like this so we get more of them like this. So directors like Rian Johnson can continue to make fun, more indie-like sort of original films that are different, that show us something new. Granted, we've seen the mystery movie done before, but I haven't seen one like this done so well in a long time, and it was a nice return to form. And again, like I said, great script, great performances. Overall, I highly suggest you check out this film with a friend, go watch it with a packed theater opening weekend. It's going to surprise people, and I think avoid the trailers, the reviews. Just go in, give Rian Johnson a shot. If you don't like it, my apologies, but I think you will leave, even if you're a Last Jedi hater, you will leave this going, all right, well, that was fun. you know what, Rian Johnson, make more of those. And I fully support, and I hope he does, and I look forward to seeing what he does next. That's what I got. Knives Out opens this around Thanksgiving in most of your theaters. Check it out when it does. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back with more content very soon, and that's it. Bye, everybody.